What's going on, Panthers Nation? I am back again with another video, and today we have news and updates. You know what I do, guys. I give you the top headlines of the day, the Panthers news of today, just to give a recap of what's going on with stuff kicking off after the post-draft. We got to get ready to start ramping up for the season, so there's a lot of things we got to talk about that have emerged over the past few days that I want to bring to the light and get you guys feedback on. But before I get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Aaron Duncan here at the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. I start off every video by saying, "What up, dude?" And here on Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk, I get recap and analysis of the NFL. In particular, I talk about our favorite team, the Carolina Panthers. So if you want to see more videos about the squad, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and the bell icon. The bell icon, make sure you get a notification every time I drop a video or do a live stream or do podcast or whatever and all kind of stuff, because I do all that stuff. So make sure you are subscribed to make sure you don't miss anything, okay? And get the video thumbs up because it really helps me out in the algorithm, okay? In the algorithm. All right, appreciate that. But we got a couple topics to talk about, and today the first thing to talk about is this weekend is rookie minicamp kicks off. Yes, the 6 players that we drafted plus the 13 undrafted free agents will be coming in for 3 days of minicamp, rookies only. It's the first time they get to see the field, but also it's the first time that some of these new coaches that we have get to be on the field with the team. Talk about our offensive coordinator, Ben McAdoo, of course, and then James Campen, our offensive line coach. We got rid of Pat Meyer. James Campen is in here. He gets to get his hands on some of these rookies, obviously. Steve Wilkes, obviously, on the defensive side, too. But they get to come in, work with the coaches that already been here for the first time, get their hands on these rookies. These rookies have been spoon-fed. I don't even say spoon-fed, probably force-fed the playbook. And every comment from the rookies today in their press conferences talked about how complicated the playbook was compared to college. We know how it is with college. A lot of them run signals, no huddle. It'll be a guy on the sideline with the poster board of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, a squirrel, and like President Biden, and that'll be a play call. So you know they have to really learn playbooks, learn to get in out of the huddle, the basic stuff that seems basic, but it's stuff that they've never really done over the past 4 years. So that's kind of the interesting part about it, the adjustment that they all had to make about that. But there were a lot of cool things to take away from what the rookies said and done in practice and what was said. So, you know, in my previous video, I talked about where exactly his offensive line was at and where Ickey should play. I'll link that video up just to talk about the different offensive line combinations because of the versatility that we have. And we know Ickey has a little bit of experience playing left guard. And so today he was asked after practice what position he worked during rookie camp, and he said that he plays strictly left tackle. Now, that could be for one or two things. One, there's only 4 offensive linemen that we brought into rookie camp, so we weren't going to have a full offensive line anyway. Not really a good idea to just move guys around. It doesn't really matter at that point. However, Matt Rhule had comments, and he talked about the Ickey. He doesn't know if he'll play left guard or left tackle because he says sometimes guys come into the league, play guard for a year, and then go to tackle. I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I really didn't do too much research, but I'm going to take Matt Rhule's word for it. But for all intents and purposes, Ickey said that all he played was left tackle. Matt Rhule said that they're going to give him that look at left tackle, but obviously with some of the guys like Brady Christensen there and Cam Irving, there's going to be opportunity for competition at that left tackle, and maybe putting Ickey at guard is still a possibility, like I mentioned in that video. But like I said, check it out. We talked about the combinations of what could be going on this team. But I just think my final thoughts is overall, I really trust James Campen. He's good at getting the most out of his offensive line, turning late round draft picks into gems. I'm thinking Kaden Mays. We'll talk about Kaden Mays a little bit from in practice there also. But those guys, those small name guys, those late drafted guys that didn't really make a lot of noise, developing into quality players and starters. So I trust Campen and his knowledge of where to put Ickey the best. I trust him to be able to get Ickey up to par to play left tackle. It's not really easy in this year, that schedule and the matchups he'll have at left tackle, but I trust James Campen. Next up is Matt Corral had reportedly a great practice. And the one thing that stuck out for some of the people that were there, as Ellis Williams from the Charlotte Observer said, is that if you blink, you will miss the ball coming out of Matt Corral's hands. We always talked about that quick release coming out of the draft and what that attracted to Ben McAdoo, offensive coordinator. So to say, just to continue to build upon that from what we're hearing from the media, it makes a lot of sense. But Matt Corral also at his press conference, we asked some weird questions about how he felt about falling in the draft. He said he already plays with a chip on his shoulder, but that chip seemed to be a little bit bigger. He wants to come in to compete. I also thought that he was very humble, but also very confident. When asked what he thought he was ready, he needed to do to be NFL ready, he said that he thought all he needed to do was the playbook. He just thought that catching in the concepts, learning the playbook was going to be the only thing for him, saying that he's pretty much confident in what he has. He didn't say exactly word for word that, but if all you say is that you just need to work on the playbook, that lets me know that you're confident in your playing ability and the execution when you get those things down. Once you put that mental part together, he seems to be comfortable where he's at physically. Yes, you want to make sure he gets better, but he didn't say he was going to be dominating and win Super Bowls and went to the Pro Bowls. He just said that he thought he could be NFL ready as long as he learns those concepts. And I think those are the adjustments and what you see on film, because it takes a lot of stuff is mental with Matt Corral. Trusting what he sees, pulling the trigger when he's supposed to when he sees stuff, going through his reads progressively, not just going through the motions, actually reading the guide that he sees there. Sometimes he skips over progressions. I'll drop a video to talk about Matt Corral, just drop some film, obviously, but that's kind of what you see. So the mental part, once he puts that together, I feel good about him. Will that be week 1? Will that be week 5? Will that be week 13 in the bye? Will that be next year? I don't know. But I like what I heard from Matt Corral today in the press conference. My final thoughts is Matt Rhule commented on some of the fundamental things, like I talked about the basics that Matt Corral has to get down, getting used to a huddle, breaking the huddle, going from under center, certain drops, certain footwork. So that's another thing I think that's physically that he needs to pick up on. But I think Matt Corral was speaking more from a standpoint of not doubting the ability for him to learn and pick that up. I don't think it was anything he felt like he couldn't do or couldn't learn or couldn't adjust to that from college to pro. So I like the moxie. I like the confidence in him. And last but not least, Kaden Mays, the later round draft pick, the stud out of Tennessee, played all 5 positions in college. He was asked about his versatility. He said he played some center today, which is good. But being able to provide that flexibility as a backup all across the board is great. Now, where he focuses on, it may be the interior, it may be the exterior, it depends. But I just know with a guy like that, if he can get up to speed, like I said, I believe in James Campen, he can push, and maybe those guys that are that versatile can save roster spots and possibly keep some guys on the outside. I'm looking at you, Cam Irving. I'm looking at you, Dennis Daly, who's a swing guy also and moves all around. I'm looking at you, Pat Elfine, that plays some guard and plays some center. So Kaden Mays, if he can take those next steps and develop, he could be taking some roster spots or causing guys that are on the bubble to not have a job with the Panthers, at least. So I like what I heard from Kaden Mays. He seems confident. He's a smart guy. I like the way he's well-spoken. I'm excited about him and see what he can obviously turn into down the line. You guys let me know down below in the comments how you feel about our rookies thus far in that first day of training camp. What do you think about some of the thoughts that I presented for? Let me know down below in the comments. And real quick, just speaking of Matt Corral, there was a lot of things that came out. There was a report, according to Carolina Blend, shout out to Vashti. She found some things on Instagram where one of Matt Corral's former teammates, from high school, pretty much penned a note of just a suicide letter for Instagram. And it was really disturbing. It kind of hurt. I'm not going to put it up there. I'll show Matt's comments, but I'm not going to show his Instagram post because he deleted it and I don't want to put him out there like that. But he pretty much just was saying his goodbyes to all his family, talking about his struggles, talking about what he wished he had done with some of his family members. It was really hard to read. But to see Matt Corral in the comments reaching out to him, say, hey, I just DM my number to you, bro. Hit me up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, saying that, just trying to be uplifting and upbeat. And I just think this is a big thing for Matt, because I've talked about it because of the reports. I didn't confirm or deny anything. I just went off the reports that Matt Corral fell in the draft because of his off the field issues, whether it's his battle with alcoholism, the depression that he said that he struggled with at times in the past. And people said that was the reason why he fell. Matt Rhule said he had no problem or issues with stuff that happened in Corral's past because it's in the past. Everybody has a past. Everybody gets better and moves forward. But from what some of the national media and the stigma on mental health have been kind of pushing as an issue for Matt Corral, it seems there had been something that made him better, made him stronger, and made him a leader to be at a point where he feel like he can reach out to a buddy of his from high school and just extend that hand, because he might have been down in a certain place too, as Matt Corral when he was depressed, that he feels like that he might have gotten out of, that he may still be battling with. But to be able to reach out and try to be a shining light for the guy, it feels good to hear and see that. And it makes you really want to root for a guy like Matt Corral. And especially from all intents and purposes, we heard that the guy is safe. He did not commit suicide. So that's also good news too. Now I got to give Matt Corral full credit on it, but you see that olive branch and that helping hand they extended out. It really makes you feel good about the quarterback and really want to root for QB9. So shout out to Matt Corral on that one. This next one was just a big rumor that came out of nowhere from Front Office Sports. It's allegedly that the Panthers are eyeing signing former Saints coach Sean Payton for 2023. Pretty much saying that he would be the coach in the waiting, and they're going to try to pursue him. And it just really took me back because, one, Sean Payton's a division rival. That's preposterous. But they would probably have to trade for him. And there's a lot of different things that I have an issue with this on, because the media and the presser today actually asked Matt Rhule about it. And I've had my complaints and criticism of Matt Rhule But it was a very unfair question to ask him about a report directly about a name of somebody replacing. And apparently, Matt Rhule said that the first thing he had heard about it was when David Tepper called him, because David Tepper called him before the article came out, saying that the article would come out and that don't read into it. It's not true. That situation is a little bit murky for me, because why would David Tepper be ahead of it? Maybe they reached out to him for comment on it, but most of the time when people say they have sources, it may be somebody internally that might have get floated around or something like that, and it just somehow catches fire, and maybe it's something that didn't want to get leaked. But apparently the headquarters for David Tepper is a faucet, a running faucet of bathwater, because we heard all these Deshaun Watson rumors that kept coming out, and there's all different type of rumors that happened when it had to do with Ron Rivera or Cam Newton or the Kyle Allen situation. It's not tight. It's not zip tight. And maybe that's why the guy recently got fired from Tepper Sports and whatever entertainment, because maybe he was the leak. Who knows? But it just seems like there's a lot of different stuff come on. And overall, it's just annoying, because it's going to be a nuisance all year, because Matt Rhule he hasn't performed. But at the same time, I have a couple of problems with this. One, it's unfair to ask Matt Rhule this type of question and have these rumors come out. Two, I cannot stand Sean Payton. If you've been subscribed to my channel for long enough, you know I said that Sean Payton has the most punchable face in the NFL, and it's probably 65% of why I dislike the Saints, along with Michael Thomas and Cam Jordan. But he was a big reason why I did not like the Saints, and still probably would not like the Saints. There's residual effects. Three, the Saints have rights to Sean Payton until 2024 because they had contract. So he retired, so he can't really come back and go anywhere he wants until then. Right now, he's going to be working on TV as an analyst for either Fox or Amazon. He's going to take a year off, and a lot of coaches do these little red shirt year off things before they get back into it. We'll see what happens. And my fourth thing is, it doesn't make sense. Why would he go to a division rival? He's going to the Cowboys. The rumors about him going to the Cowboys have been floating around for years. Obviously, Jerry Jones loves him from Sean Payton. Sean Payton started his career there under Parcells. He loves Sean Payton. He loves what Sean Payton has done. He loves it, how cocky and whatever Sean Payton is. It is what it is. But are we overrating Sean Payton? Because he has a very similar trajectory to Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy gets criticized like crazy. Got a Hall of Fame quarterback, inherited a Hall of Fame quarterback, got one Super Bowl, pretty much underachieved in a bunch of years after that. Calls offensive plays. Like, these guys have parallel careers and similar career records, but Mike McCarthy catches all that smoke while Sean Payton gets bloviated and drooled over in the national media. That's just something to think about. But even if the reports are false, it's not going to be the last time we hear things about Matt Rhule. This is just what happens when you only win 10 games in your first 2 seasons, especially when everybody has such high hopes and hype for you. And everybody has this mentality about David Tepper being so aggressive, being this type of owner, when he's pretty passive when it comes to making those moves. He did call and reassure Matt Rhule that wasn't true. And Matt's comments were that when the David Tepper came to my house, he said it, David Tepper came to my house 2.5 years ago. He told me it was a 5-year plan. You know what I'm saying? He said that y'all wanted me. I didn't want y'all. I wanted the Giants. Take a look at this clip.
With regards to that report, first I heard of it, Dave called me and told me that, that it was going to come out, that they had called him and that there was nothing to it. I know Dave Tepper well enough to believe that he wouldn't be talking to another coach right now. When he came to my house 2.5 years ago, he told me that this was a 5-year rebuild. I mean, that's what he said to me. And he convinced me then to come be a part of it with him and build it with him. And, we're not where we want to be. And I don't think it's going to take 5 years. I don't want it to take 5 years. But those are the words that he said to me.
And I'm paraphrasing a bit. I'm probably exaggerating. But the way he said it is David Tepper came to me 2.5 years ago with the meatballs and all that stuff with Marty Herney and told me it was a 5-year plan. That's why he gave me the long deal. He came to me. You can criticize Matt Rhule all you want. Some people say he's deflecting. I will say it shouldn't take 5 years to build it. So I don't know where David Tepper got that. Clearly, he's an inexperienced owner. But nevertheless, if you literally told that guy that, and that's what the process you're under, you're misguided. And I've always said it, that the issue with the Panthers, it starts at the top. Matt Rhule is just a byproduct of the ineptitude of David Tepper. Now, Rhule is not blameless, but this is the hand that you dealt when you're hired, when you're underqualified and gets paid on this long deal that's unprecedented. But these rumors aren't going to stop until Matt Rhule wins some games. It's make or break a year. So this is going to keep happening. It won't be the last time we address rumors probably about him being fired or the replacement coach, especially with all these head coaches or ex-head coaches on this coaching staff now between Wilkes and McAdoo. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. Without further ado, I'm Aaron Decker signing off. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.